Good morning, students. Today we will revise the topic respiration. Respiration is a multi-step enzyme mediated biochemical process of oxidative breakdown of organic compounds inside living cell, and the organic compound that undergo oxidative breakdown in respiration is called respiratory substrate, and the most common respiratory substrate is glucose. So respiration is the process of oxidation or breaking down of organic compound, particularly glucose, with the release of energy, and this is represented by the equation glucose plus oxygen will give carbon dioxide, water and energy. Now, the energy released during cellular respiration is immediately used to synthesize a molecule called ATP. It is used to carry out all other activities in the cell. So, ATP is called energy currency for most cellular process. Now, cellular respiration is much more complex process that occur inside the living cell. It is oxidation of respiratory substrate in the cell resulting in the release of carbon dioxide and energy. So it may be divided into two categories depending upon the availability of atmospheric oxygen. One is aerobic respiration, which occurs in presence of oxygen, and it occurs in two steps, cytoplasmic and mitochondrial. In cytoplasm, glucose is broken down into two molecules of 3 carbon compound pyruvic acid, and then in mitochondria, then one pyruvic acid will give 3 molecules of carbon dioxide. So after complete breakdown of glucose molecule, the end products are carbon dioxide and water in aerobic respiration with 38 ATP produced. Now, in anaerobic respiration, it occurs in the absence of oxygen and it is incomplete breakdown of respiratory substrate. Okay. Now, here only 2 ATP are produced from one glucose molecule and the end products are ethyl alcohol, then CO2 or lactic acid. Now, this shows the breakdown of glucose by various pathways. So, the first initial step of glucose breakdown occurs in the cytoplasm, which result in the production of pyruvic acid, and this step is called glycolysis. During glycolysis, one molecule of glucose breaks down to produce 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, and each pyruvic acid molecule has 3 carbon atoms, and this pathway does not require oxygen. Now, fate of the pyruvic acid is determined by the presence or absence of oxygen. If oxygen is available, then the pyruvic acid enters mitochondria and breaks down aerobically, and the process which occurs inside mitochondria is called Krebs cycle. It results in complete breakdown of pyruvic acid, which result in the release of carbon dioxide and water, okay, with energy. Now, anaerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. Okay. Now, in this case, glucose is incompletely broken down into alcohol and carbon dioxide or into lactic acid. Okay. And the energy released in anaerobic respiration is much less than in aerobic respiration. Okay. Now, if oxygen is not available, then the pyruvic acid breaks down anaerobically. Okay. So, in microorganism like yeast, glucose is broken down into ethanol and carbon dioxide and release energy, and this energy is then used up by the microorganism. Now here one molecule of glucose produces only 2 ATP molecules. Okay. Now we human beings also obtain energy sometimes from anaerobic respiration. Okay. That means anaerobic respiration can sometimes take place in a muscles or muscles of other animals. For example, anaerobic respiration takes place in our muscles during vigorous physical exercise when oxygen gets used up faster in the muscle cells than can be supplied by the blood. So when anaerobic respiration takes place in human muscles, then glucose, that is food, is converted into lactic acid with the release of small amount of energy. Okay, and the breaking down of glucose during anaerobic respiration in muscle cells can be represented like glucose is first broken down into pyruvate. Okay, that is 2 molecule of pyruvic acid. Then in absence of the oxygen in muscle tissue, again it is broken down into 2 molecule of lactic acid, which is a 3 carbon compound with 2 molecule of ATP. Okay, and this lactic acid, when it accumulates in the muscles, it causes muscle cramps. Okay, so the anaerobic respiration by muscles bring about partial breakdown of glucose to form lactic acid. Okay, now respiration in plants. Exchange of gases also takes place in plants. So plants also need energy, and they get this energy by the process of respiration. Okay, now plants exchange gases with their environment, so they do not have any special respiratory organ for exchange and a system for transport of gases. Okay, and different parts of the plants like leaf, stem and root exchange gases separately. Okay, now in the roots absorbed oxygen from air present in between the soil particles through the root hairs. Okay, and the stem of the herbaceous plant have stomata, so the exchange of respiratory gases in the stem of herbaceous plant take place through stomata. And the hard and woody stem of big plants have lenticels for gaseous exchange. Then the exchange of respiratory gases in leaves takes place through tiny pores called stomata. Okay, and the leaves of the plant have a tiny pores called stomata, and here the exchange of respiratory gases in the leaves takes place by the process of diffusion through stomata. Okay, now do plants breathe? Yes, the process of respiration in plants takes place all the time. Okay, so we have seen that photosynthetic process in green plants need carbon dioxide and releases oxygen, and this exchange of gases occurs through stomata. Similarly, the respiratory gases exchange, that is intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide, also occurs through stomata. Okay, now respiration in leaves occur during the daytime as well as night. Okay, and on the other hand, photosynthesis occurs only during the daytime. No photosynthesis occurs at night. Okay, so during daytime when photosynthesis occurs, oxygen is produced. So the leaf use some of this oxygen for respiration and the rest of oxygen diffuses out into air. Okay, again during daytime, carbon dioxide produced by respiration is all used up in photosynthesis by leaves. Okay, and even more carbon dioxide is taken from air. Okay, and at night only respiration takes place. Okay, there is no photosynthesis occurring, so there is no production of oxygen. So oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out through the stomata. Okay, I hope this is clear that during daytime the release of oxygen in photosynthesis is used up in is aerobic respiration, and at night when there is no photosynthesis, then utilization of oxygen and elimination of carbon dioxide occurs through stomata. Okay, so plant breathe all the time. Okay, now let's take some of the questions. Respiration is anabolic process, physical process, catabolic process, or biophysical process. So respiration means breakdown of glucose molecule. So it is a catabolic process because catabolic process is the breakdown process. It is a destructive process, and anabolic process is a constructive process, that is the synthesis process. So the answer is C. Next, the main respiratory substrate used in cells is glucose, galactose, fructose, or sucrose. It is glucose. Okay. The common phase between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is called glycolysis, Krebs cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, or none of these. It is glycolysis because it is the first stage of respiration, which breaks down glucose into pyruvic acid. Then after that, the fate of pyruvic acid is decided whether oxygen is present or whether it is not present. So glycolysis is a common pathway between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Now the breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and energy takes place in mitochondria because it is a mode of respiration, that is it requires oxygen. So it is aerobic respiration, okay, which occurs in two steps. One is cytoplasm and another one in mitochondria, and the breakdown of glucose to pyruvate occurs in cytoplasm, and then further breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and energy will take place in mitochondria. So the answer is B, that is mitochondria. Glycolysis process occurs in which part of the cell? Very easy, it occurs in the cytoplasm. So answer is A. Now name the pores in the leaf through which respiratory exchange of gases takes place. So we know that the exchange of gases takes place through stomata in the leaf. Now the end product of fermentation are carbon dioxide and oxygen, carbon dioxide and ethanol, oxygen and ethanol, and carbon dioxide and acetaldehyde. So fermentation, that is certain bacteria and fungi respire anaerobically only. So in them it is called fermentation, and fermentation is defined as anaerobic breakdown of carbohydrate into alcohol or organic acids. So here the end product will be carbon dioxide and ethyl alcohol or ethanol. Okay, so that's all for this topic. Revise very well for your exam. Okay, so all the best. Thank you.